So, how do you want to start this episode?
We're going to start off by acknowledging that the host of the podcast is late. How late?
And would the host of the podcast be me?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
What time is it?
it is 3:47.
We were supposed to start 17 minutes ago. Time is ticking.
Well, that's true, but in my defense, you did want to take me outside and play with me.
We
At
had to
that
play
time.
with our dog. We had to take care of her.
See, and this is to highlight the subject of today's podcast,
Which is?
which is embrace differences.
I don't think this is so much a differences issue, more of a respect issue.
Is that right?
It is.
Respect, she says.
Listen, I have my boss babe. Well, I guess I took that off.
Name tag. Your boss babe name tag on?
Yep.
Looks cute. I like it. Yep. Well, embrace differences. I mean, I think this is this it? Are we in?
This is it.
Let's go.
My time is
Let's
valuable.
Go. Let's go. I like this, Silvy. Let's go. So welcome to Bridging Connections podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Reeves, with Bryan with a Y Reeves. And today I have on my lovely and feisty wife, Silvy Khoucasian. Say hi to everybody, Silvy.
Hello. It's Khoucasian, but I'll let that one
Khoucasian.
slide as well today.
Wow, you are in a mode. You are in a mode and a mood. But
I
I'm
thought,
in.
since this is the third episode that I'm a guest on, that I could finally fully unmask and be me.
Okay. I invite it. I welcome it.
And pray that your listeners are ready for it.
Yeah, I pray that they're for it as well. And I hope that the levels are okay, that our voices are coming in equally strong. I don't usually record this way, so yeah, hope that we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. So embrace differences. We're as we were thinking about what to talk about in this episode, we were thinking about we did a keynote talk together in Vancouver a few months ago at the Real Love Ready in Bloom conference, which is a world-class relationship conference. We were, you and I together, I think there were, 8 speakers total? You and me and the Gottmans were speaking, and Dr. Sarah
Nazarzadeh, I'll say her last name.
Nazarzadeh.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful last name.
Damona Hoffman.
Damona Hoffman, Shamira Howard, Dr. Shamira Howard. Who else was speaking? Who else spoke? I'm blanking. I'm sorry. Well, Sean Galanos was hosting. That might have been it, actually. There weren't a lot of speakers. I think that was it, babe.
I think that might have been it.
And then you and me. We were the other 2
I think
speakers.
that was it. Yeah.
So it was a great honor for us. We got to open that conference, and we talked about the subject of our keynote speech together was embracing differences. Would you say that you and me are different?
I would say that we are
You should see the smile.
We are very different in our personalities and very similar in our values.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, different in our personalities, but similar in our values. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's very true. Yeah.
And similar in our relationship vision. I think we want the same thing out of a relationship.
Like our ethics, our relationship ethics, the things we stand for, the things that are important to us, the ways of relating.
And I think we have very complementary relational strengths. We're very different in our strengths, and I think they're very complementary.
Yeah.
And the things we love about one another might also be the things that drive us nuts. I'm sure many of you relate to that.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that also, in the personality differences, what some of the things that also show up are like when we travel.
Who's on time and who's not on time?
Well, I think we're both on time. I just think one of us is more comfortable with
not being
being
on time.
flexible about not being on time.
Yes. Or your version of 3:30 might also be 3:32.
Exactly, or 3:47.
Exactly.
But when communicated, of course, I mean, right, because we both value respect, right? And time is about honoring time, honoring appointments, meetings, is about respect.
Yes.
The thing is that one of our differences, like I believe that respect can be maintained even when you're late.
Absolutely. I mean, I was doing a training on the trauma of money that this wonderful teacher, Chantel, had a guest that spoke about money and time. And he did this exercise where he basically had us guess when we hit the 1 minute mark, and I was the first one on time, right on time.
Do you mean like there was just silence? He was like, everyone be quiet. We're going to wait till, like, when you think a minute goes by, raise your hand.
Yes, and I was right there.
Oh, wow.
My, like, precision, but it also, you know, comes from the sense of, like, rigidity. It can be held in almost like a rigid way, where there's, like, a flexibility that can also serve me in some contexts. Obviously, being, you know, late for clients, that's not going to happen. But in other ways, I've breathe. What's the fear there behind being a little bit late, even if it's communicated? Like, what's going to happen? I'm going to be in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you counting during that minute, or were you just feeling it?
I have a pretty intuitive sense of time because of my doing therapy and coaching sessions. I'm also very musically sensitive. Like, I've always been really good with, you know, just the beats and the sounds of music. And I just think it's something I'm very hyper aware of. I'm really good at it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because as I think of it, I'm a drummer. So time is essential, is vital. Time. And though I have to count it in my head, and if I'm not counting it, then it's easy for me to lose track.
Got it.
Right. Whereas I wonder if you feel more intuitive, the passage of time in that regard.
I think so. And I also work out, so I'm always timing things when I'm taking breaks and rest. So, like, I've just kind of, I don't know, it's very hyper attuned to it.
Yeah, and I think this is interesting as we're talking about embracing differences. Because one of the great conflicts that can happen in a couple, I don't even think people really think about it, is time and timing, pacing, right? Even pacing. I remember one of our first big trips, right, to Ireland. Remember I took you on a 5-week tour of the entire island of Ireland, and I thought it was the best thing in the world that we could have possibly done. 5 weeks just driving around, seeing the entirety of Ireland.
I had a personal tour guide, y'all.
And how was that experience for you?
Well, what's interesting in the relationship to the time conversation is that when I'm not working, when I'm not in my work mode, I like to be checked out of time. And so I like to move, especially when I'm traveling. I like to have a lot of spaciousness. I like to drop into a particular place and really, like, ground in. I like going to the same coffee shop. I like to be in the same, you know, place for a week. Whereas for you, I know you need more variety and stimulation, and you want to see as much as you can while we're there.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I want to go. I want to fill up the space with. My brain is insatiably curious. I want to see all that there is to see and smell all the smells and the sights and again, I think that relates in many ways to time and our experience of time. Because I'm like, we only got 5 weeks. We got to go.
That's true. You were also, I think, you had a faster pace when we started our relationship. I think you were ready to move forward and, like, meeting family. And I think I needed a lot more. I need a lot more time, and I'm a slower processor. It's one of our other differences. It takes me longer to digest and really swallow an experience.
That's right, yeah.
And you're like lightning speed processor.
Let's go. Yeah, exactly. My brain's like, done, got it. It's assimilated in my thoughts. Let's go. What's the next? What are we on to the next? That's true. That was one of our early, I wouldn't say struggles, but one of the differences that we ran into that, again, I don't think we had necessarily knew what was going on as much or had the language for it, but it was like, I was ready to just throw you into my life. Get on my magic carpet ride. We're going.
It's like, hold on, I need to know the size of the carpet. What color is it?
Like, wait a second. Whoa.
Yeah.
Slow down. And I think one of the challenges when we talk about differences, I've said this a lot to couples over the years, because I figured this out early in coaching, working with couples, really, is that it's not the differences between us that causes problems. It's constantly making those differences or trying to make those differences go away that causes problems.
Or making them wrong.
Making them
or
wrong.
Bad. Judging them.
Exactly. Making them wrong. And I think back to our early days. There were some differences that we were, when you run into a difference, it hurts. It can hurt. It's confusing. It can be scary. It can be like, whoa, why don't you want what I want?
Mm-hmm.
And it can cause all kinds of doubts, and all kinds of stuff can come up. And I think that's so normal. But yeah.
So I thought it would be interesting to highlight some gaps that couples can experience that I think comes up a lot in my coaching work with individuals. Let's just name some of those things. Do you have that list in front of you?
I do have that list. And we're
glad.
Let's see. This is from when we did our.
I'm going to just name off a couple. So
Yep.
cultural gaps. Bryan and I come from a very different cultural context. I'm Armenian, born in Saudi Arabia. Family was raised in Syria, so I have a lot of Armenian and Arabic influence. Bryan, your ethnic background is?
I'm about as white as it gets. I'm about white American, although when we met, I was very proud of my Puerto Rican heritage, which I learned wasn't really Puerto Rican. It was just Spanish, European Spanish. But yeah, Irish, just Western European mutt, basically.
So cultural, obviously religious differences. I come from a culture that also is very communal, which is very much about the we. Bryan comes from a culture that is, from more American roots, that is much more individualistic and self, that individual, self-oriented.
Right. And yep, the greater culture, but also just family culture. Yeah, my family was very much, every man for himself. Every man. I mean, I left home basically when I was 16 to go to college, get on a scholarship that I got myself. And I didn't get a lot of support from my family from that time on.
Yeah.
Right? Not certainly not financial support.
Yeah.
So I was starting to take care of myself at a very young age. And whereas you, man, the support that your family, the way that you all support each other is like so foreign to my experience, right?
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and obviously, independence is beautiful. That support is beautiful, and there's shadows on both sides.
Absolutely.
Right? I think we've talked about this. A big reason you and I chose each other, kind of intuitively, instinctively, like there's like each of us had something for the other. Right, you had a home. You felt like home. You were like there was the enmeshment of the communal system was like on some level I was starving for. Right, whereas I know
I was starving for adventure and to kind of land on my own 2 feet and really launch in that kind of more self-oriented way, still within the family system, but kind of feel that courage to take off and really take these bigger risks in my life, And another gap in relationships is age gap. I think this is a really big one. You and I have a almost 9-year gap, almost decade.
it's a little over 9 years, I think. Yeah.
That's in that, years in itself don't necessarily mean much, but the different developmental stages that a person is in will impact what the priority is for them in that current stage. And you could be in a particular developmental stage and your partner might be in a very different one. So again, it doesn't mean and it's bad, it's wrong. It's just that we often try to pull the person into the places that we are so we can maintain and create connection and symmetry. So what are some other differences? I think it would be helpful to name a few more.
So other differences: intimacy, affection, sexual needs or desires. Right, run into that all the time, where one partner has a different. You and I have over the years we've looked at, studied, and it's been helpful for us. The erotic blueprints that were created by a woman named Jaya. the 5 erotic blueprints, but also we're not going to go into those here. That's not that important right now. But people have different on ramps to sexual turn on. They need different things to be in place to be happening. One partner might really enjoy public displays of affection, whereas the other might feel really uncomfortable about it. Why are you looking at me?
I'm just smiling. I'm the golden retriever in this relationship, so
She
people are no
licks
people.
my face in public.
I don't mind.
Yeah, she'll lick my face in public, and I get a little uncomfortable. That's not untrue. And as well, pacing, coming back to time again, pacing, both at the beginning of the relationship, but also at just the beginning of a sexual encounter, right? Pacing, time, one partner. It's just how it works that one partner, they're going to have different paces, and maybe you have the same pace at the beginning, but over time, as the relationship evolves and matures, all of a sudden one of you just realizes I actually need more time to get turned on. Things like that. What else we got?
Privacy versus what a couple holds as private can look different on each end of the spectrum.
Ooh, that's a good one, yeah.
And really clarifying what the boundaries are, what's sacred, what's not going to be discussed, or maybe collaboratively figuring out, all right, who are the people we're going to go to when we are in relationship crisis? Because I do think that's important, and that is, it is essential to figure that out, whether it's a therapist, counselor, or maybe you guys have really trusted friends in your community, but not really airing all your challenging moments to just anybody. That can be really, really harmful to the relationship. And like what you will be vocal about, what you won't be vocal about. Privacy matters.
Especially in the day of social media.
Yes.
Oh my
yes,
God.
Yes.
It's a thing like it never was before.
This is true.
Right? What are you going to share on social media? What are you going to talk about? I think especially as a couple, you and I had that challenge at the beginning because my work was being an open book back in 2000, the early, 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then when you came along, I just thought, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I always do. And you were like, this isn't comfortable for me. And I was like, well, what do you mean? This is my story. You're like, well, I'm in your story now. I'm like, well, but I'm telling my story. You're like, yeah, well, I'm in your story. It's also my story now. I'm like, what? Right? We really wrestled with that for a time.
And we had a therapist that just helped us navigate, like, okay, there's no black and white solutions. If one of you has to fully sacrifice or compromise to a point where you don't feel like you can be who you are, well, that's not good, right?
Right.
But the other person can't be like, oh my gosh, I have to expose myself to so much that I don't feel good. So we found a middle that works for us. And I think that's also the dance in all of these differences. It's not about one person bending so much for the other and at the cost of themselves, or vice versa. It's about continuously being an exploration of finding ways to be collaborative and conscious of both people's needs, vulnerabilities, sensitivities. And it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy. Sometimes you might bend a little bit more in the other person's direction, but overall, does it feel fair? Is there a sense of equity and fairness as principles that are prioritized in the relationship? And I want us to also, talk about what are the relationship skills that are going to be vital to create in a relationship to help people tolerate and make space for these differences, right? We've used a few words in this conversation already. Flexibility. I think it's probably one of the most important things to have that cultivated. Collaborative mindset, right?
Yep.
And the other one that I think about even more than anything else is willingness.
Yeah, willingness. That's a big word.
It's huge.
I like that word a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, when I'm working with men in my men's work, we explore that idea of willingness a lot. Like the willingness to be disappointed and the willingness to disappoint.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The resistance to disappointing or being disappointed, that creates so much stress in relationships, right? But the willingness to both be disappointed and be a disappointment. I mean, again, you and I ran into that to the very beginning because I had all this excitement. I was like, let's go on this big trip. I'm going to take you. And, we're 3 months in. I'm like, hey, it's the holidays. I got an idea. Let's fly here and visit my dad and my stepmom. Let's fly there and visit my sister. Then let's fly there and visit my mom in Maryland. And you were just like, "Rrr." And you had to, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
But we both had to just be with that.
I have to also be very sensitive about that. It's not about just saying no and holding up a boundary and my way or the highway. No, it's about even if I can't meet my partner's needs, I still want to be loving and caring about the fact that I can't always meet their needs. And I think that's a really important distinction, because I think boundaries and that rigidity of holding them can sometimes get taken so far that they stop being relational, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, even when there was a really good example of like your adventurous spirit. It's one of the reasons I love you. And we've done so many amazing adventures together. But there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do as much as you. That's not how I'm wired. I need a lot more rest. But I remember even saying to you early on, like, I wish I could clone myself so that other me could go be with you in these adventures. And I knew that for you, that was also your way of like your family coming together and witnessing you and your, in these things that you loved. And so I knew it was also connected to an original wound. Mm-hmm. So I think that's also something really important for people to pay attention to. Yeah. You're not doing the emotional work for your partner, but you're witnessing them and you're supporting them when there is disappointment present in the space as well.
Exactly. Yeah, another willingness that I work with a lot is the willingness to be hurt. The willingness to be hurt. I mean, if you're going to get into a relationship, if you're going to do love, it comes with the potential to be hurt. And again, I think I see so much shenanigans, ironically, so much hurt gets created in the unwillingness, the resistance to being hurt. And even, and I say this very carefully, the willingness to hurt your partner. And I say that very carefully because obviously, neither you nor I are a stand for people intentionally hurting their partners. Mm-hmm. But again, if we're going to have honest conversations, if we're going to explore, be with the differences between us, the things that are uncomfortable. I mean, and I think... Again, there's so many examples of you and I where you had to really be willing to hurt me, in the sense of, I think, again, when we travel, like we're going to Scotland in 2 weeks, and I'm so excited. We're gonna have a great time, and we've come a long way.
Oh yeah.
But I remember when we first went on that long trip to Ireland.
I was dissociated for 5 weeks because I was so overwhelmed.
I was like, let's go do this. We'll come do this. Let's drive there and do this hike and this walk and again, on some level, you had to be willing to hurt me by saying, no, I can't. You go do it without me. You had to see me be hurt.
Yeah.
And again, you can't rescue me from that. Right. And obviously, I mean, there's this goes both ways in relationships. Like, and it's a dance.
And there's wisdom there. Yeah. There's wisdom in your hurt. Right,
totally.
I think that was what allowed us to get really in touch with like what was coming up for you also in that. Like, because I think sometimes we also have to think about when we have such a big reaction to something, or when we're so fixated on someone showing up in a particular way and they can't. Oh, there's wisdom. There's something to that. I remember one of the posts I wrote years ago. There was a particular moment that someone made a comment to me at a wedding, and I wanted you to say something. I remember I wanted you to say something. Mm-hmm. And the comment itself was, looking back, it was a pretty neutral comment. It wasn't something I really needed you to do anything for. There wasn't any danger happening, but it activated my core wound of not feeling protected, And then I remember when we processed it on that pink couch in Calabasas when the sun was setting, and I got really clear that, like, because as you were even like being willing and learning about that wound of mine and being on board for like, recognizing how I wanted maybe things to be done differently, I just remember that dropping to my knees moment of vulnerability of just like, wow, it doesn't matter what Bryan actually does in these moments. It will never scratch that itch for me.
Right, yeah.
That feeling of not being protected is so primitive and in my root, which I think is like the mirror of your wound of neglect, right? So yes, I'm not able to come on all these adventures, but there's so many adventures I was coming on. So what was it about this particular thing that was so activating, right? So we got to access the wound.
Right.
When you didn't protect me to that random woman at the wedding,
right.
I got to access my wound.
Yeah.
So it's also like pulling back that layer of what's behind that curtain.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most useful relational skills is getting awareness around what childhood wounds is your partner are you both bringing into this dance because they're gonna be present.
And they're going to collide.
They are.
Oh, baby, they're going to collide.
Like in a conspiracy almost, to
Yeah.
really, like they're little conspiratorial buddies
Like little demons.
wreaking havoc. They're holding hands with mischievous looks on their faces. Like, how can we fuck things up in this room?
Exactly.
And so when we're not aware of them, we think we're fighting about how the dishwasher is being loaded, or we think we're fighting about, why won't you come with me to this thing? Right? It's not about why didn't you stand up for me when that woman said that thing?
Mm-hmm.
We think we're fighting about that. Nope, most of the time it ain't about that thing.
Because if you had said something, I would have been embarrassed.
Right.
That's what's fascinating.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I felt like, oh my God, thank God he didn't say anything, because there wasn't
Right.
really a thing to say anything to, but it was
Exactly.
such a good opportunity to get access to something that really helped me look at something. And that's the gift of differences, I think, in a relationship too, is that they really help point a magnifying glass towards these pieces of ourselves that need a person that's different than us to bring them out.
Right. Otherwise, like if that's true, like if I'm just walking around the world, like when I'm single, walking around doing my thing, just bouncing off of people and not really going deep and hang out a couple hours and I'm off, I don't get the reflection back as much as with when you're in a long-term relationship with someone day after day, and you're like, boy, these things keep showing up, and it's almost like where you see yourself irritated or, like you said, have big reactions to. I've been studying Carl Jung's work the last year, doing this trying to working to bring more shadow work into my coaching and archetypes, and it's such profound work, and it's one of the things that I think is so brilliant in that depth psychology field is we start to really understand how the things that trigger us in the outside world are in some way, and again I say this carefully because there's a lot of things going on in the world that should fucking trigger us.
Yeah.
That should be upsetting.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, let's be thoughtful about what I'm about to say here. But there's the way the world triggers us points to a shadow inside of us that we have yet to that we may be in some way in denial of, or we've repressed it, or we've exiled these parts of ourselves because they weren't allowed when we were kids, or all kinds of things. So, yeah.
And that speaks to the importance of a witness, I think, also, right? Having a partner who can not fix us, but witness us as we represent that original wound in a place that's hopefully safer, more empathic, more compassionate, so that we can integrate it.
And witness it skillfully. Because I think there's a lot of couples try to witness. They say what they see, but they do it in a pretty fucked up way.
So let's give some practical tools. How might somebody witness them in a supportive way?
One of the most valuable and simple ways is like when you notice someone having a big reaction is like, okay, it's like deep breath. You're having a big reaction. What's really going on for you? What is this really about? Like what's
coming up for you?
What's coming up for you in this? That isn't just about me. Right, because in our wound, in our reaction, we're trying to get the other person to just do something different, so I don't have to feel this. And not that there is no place for your partner to maybe shift some things up. Maybe they're using a tone of voice that doesn't work, or they're something. Not that there's no place for that, but provided they're not doing something that's actually harming you in the moment, right? Being inquisitive. Wow, what is this about for me? What the hell is going on for me in this moment? What is this about that you're just over there living your best life, and I have a problem with it? What the hell is my problem?
And one of the tools I often give my clients, if it's hard to kind of access that in that moment, if you want to pull away and give yourself some time alone to be with yourself, and just even thinking about, are there any memories that are coming up for you as you just close your eyes? Like, what memories does this touch on, right?
Yep.
Or sensations. Sometimes we don't have memory access. Sometimes it's so early on, maybe within the first 3 years of our life, that we don't have a visceral, tangible memory. But oh, there's something I'm feeling it in my chest. I'm feeling it in my belly. So breathing and just being really gentle with yourself and as validating as you can be. I think that's oftentimes what we need in the first time around. Loving, tenderness, validation, empathy.
We have this, Tate and I have used this saying, and I don't know who said this first, but not him or I, so this came from somewhere else, but there's that saying, maybe you've heard it, Silvy. When it's hysterical, it's historical.
Yes.
Which means, again, when you're having a big reaction to something, it's historical. It's rooted in something that's almost certainly not about this moment.
Yeah. When the emotion doesn't really match the experience objectively. Yeah.
Do you know where that came from, that saying? Who said that?
I don't know that exact saying, no. But I've heard it in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that also, one of the other tools that we both spoke about at our keynote talk, and also that and I want to just pause here also and say for a second, Silvy, you and I were doing this podcast right now. Hopefully this is going to come out okay. Hopefully, hopefully it sounds good. I just mean from the sound. I think what we're talking about is gold. Just but we'll get it. We'll dial it in. It's all good. We're going to do this more, right? We're stepping into an era.
Hopefully, if you're lucky.
If I play my cards right.
If you play your cards right.
We're going to do this more.
If the sound quality on this turns out okay.
Babe, we're coming up on 10 years together.
Yeah. September will be 10 years.
It'll be 10 years.
It's a big
2015,
deal.
September 30th, 2015. The moment, our first infamous date non-date. It was totally a date. So there's another difference, but we're not going to go into that one.
Perception differences.
Perception. Oh, perception differences. Huge.
There's a million differences.
There's so
in
many.
A couple.
In fact, even as you're listening to this, I would encourage you, reflect on what are some of the differences that if you're in relationship now, or maybe it was a past relationship, what are some of the differences that you struggled with or are struggling with?
And I think that there's differences that can still irritate us, but we still admire in the other person.
Right.
I think that's an important distinction, versus a difference
that's good.
You feel like is just so radically not how you want to be living your life, or maybe has such ethically colliding in a way that's just very painful, or just simply you're moving in different directions in how you want to even be in relationship, right? So there is differences that do need to be addressed as well.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. And I think that's, we get into the realm of needs versus desires. One of the distinctions we do this in our boundaries program. We talk about requests versus requirements. And I think this is actually a good segue into one of the other tools that we want to talk about is creating clear agreements.
Within the differences.
Around those differences, when the difference is right. I mean, if you and I are obsessed about showing up on time together the same way, we don't need an agreement. We're in agreement. It's when let's use this example. When we first, it's funny because I don't know if it's flipped over the years, but when we first were together, we go out to an event. I wanted to stay until the end. I wanted to be the last person to leave. You wanted to be the first person to leave. And that we struggled with that for the first handful of times we went out. Now it's kind of flipped. Like we had that event the other night here, and I went and took a nap.
You did.
Halfway through, I was like, I'm out. I can't do this.
Or we've found, I don't even know if agreement applies to this, but we've found practical ways to navigate it.
Right.
I don't try to make you different than who you are. And I love that you're social and interacting. If anything, I'm like, babe, you go do the networking for us.
Yeah.
I'm going to be home doing X, Y, and Z. And you but you are supportive of the fact that I need more time to process and just to be alone and recharge. And we're not in opposition of that. There's space for both of us to be who we are.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about clear agreements is they're honoring of both people.
Yes.
Clear and effective agreements don't just give one person their way and the other person acquiesces.
Yeah.
That's that's a road to resentment. In fact, we say this thing. I think I might have. This might be a original quote from me. Actually.
From yourself, huh?
From myself, the esteemed Bryan Reeves.
That's funny.
Resentment dies in the land of clear agreements. All right, that's what agreements serve for. They serve to keep things clean between us, and that's also, I think, what's great about agreements is we can renegotiate them.
Yes.
Right, as we notice, okay, actually this isn't really addressing what I need it to address. Let's talk about it. Let's renegotiate. Let's talk about. And so I think that's just such a vital tool, the ability to create clear agreements. And again, it's not like you just sit down for 2 minutes and come up with an agreement and you're done.
It's ongoing.
It is ongoing.
And it changes flavors and textures as you both change and are cultivating new perspectives and ways of seeing the world. So the workshop I did on the Sunday of the Real Love Ready conference, the In Bloom conference, was on navigating transitions with grace. And I think this is an important kind of maybe just addition to this conversation, in that one of you might be going through a transition right now. If you're in a relationship or in a close friend, committed friendship, you might be going through a transition within yourself. You might be experiencing your loved one going through a transition. And that's also... Are you smiling at me?
No, I'm listening.
He's smiling in admiration?
Always.
It's very sweet.
Always. Internally, even if not externally.
It's very sweet. There's... transitions can be a particular moment of stress in a relationship because there isn't a clear landing pad for where that person might be. Or you might be going through a transition in the relationship, whether it's maybe your new parents, or maybe you're going from the honeymoon phase to the more committed phase of a relationship. And so being just really gentle and flexible and mindful of transitions, which can be particularly... just what's the word I'm looking for? Just markers of even more change and difference that we might be terrified of.
Right.
Seeing your partner practice a new spirituality that is like, oh my gosh, am I going to lose connection to them? How do I embrace this different way of them being in the world? Right. What do I need from them? What reassurances might we start to practice so that we can stay tethered and connected to one another in spite of this change?
Yeah.
So I wanted to also throw in the transition piece.
Look, the longer you're with someone, the more transitions you're going to go through. How many freaking transitions have you and I've been through?
Individually and as a couple? Oh my
Seriously.
goodness. Moves and...
Yeah. Developmental, I feel like even in 10 years, just even developmental shifts, hormonal shifts.
Absolutely.
So we talk about, oh my goodness, just the enormity of when, I don't know how, well, I guess what I'm sort of marking in my own brain right now is it's just differences between two people are the norm.
Inevitable.
And so much of the so-called, the battle I grew up in an era when it's like the battle of the sexes was a thing. Mm-hmm. That was like a term that was used a lot, and comedians were always lamenting relationship, I was always, take my wife, please take my wife, that kind of thing. And it's because we've never, no one's ever taught us how to embrace differences. They've only taught us how to go to war over them.
Or to make them, to respect the complementary nature of them, right?
Exactly. One of the things that I learned, and again, it's like I don't even know we're holding these ideas, but something that I figured out that a flaw in my thinking, and I think for a lot of men and a lot of women too, was I think a lot of men tended to think, and still do, that women are broken versions of men, right? And a lot of women, I think, hold men as broken versions of women. And we're not at all broken versions of each other. We're just different. And obviously I'm framing that as men and women, but I'm also just two people. Same-sex couples, they're going to have the same challenges, two different people. So What do you think about this conversation so far, Silvy?
I think we should start winding down and closing it up.
I agree. I'm thinking that too.
And the piece that I want to kind of add to that, the transition that I was addressing is the importance of making space for grief. I think that's essential, right? When we're thinking about just change in whether it's not even a change that happened, maybe it's just in your own mind, you had this expectation of a partner, you're now in a relationship, and they are showing up in certain ways different than what you thought had in your fantasy. Grieve the shit out of that. Yeah. Or if you're in a transition, or they're in a transition. And, I wrote this quote years ago that I shared also in that workshop. May I grieve my expectations of you so that I may discover your love yet again. Yeah. It has resonated with people around the world over and over again is because we're constantly shedding these previous versions of ourselves. And for those of you listening, I imagine most of you are growth-minded people that follow Bryan, that follow Tate's work. And that means you're going to be growing a lot. You're going to be shedding skin, and you're going to probably be in relationships with others that are shedding skin, which means that, that practice of being flexible with people showing up differently and, trying on new ways of being in the world is going to be part of your life journey. Yeah. So making space for that if you want to really go the long distance with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Get good at grieving. Yeah. So much more to say about that. I wanted to pull up, I put on your very, very good advice, I put up a little story on Instagram saying, what do y'all, Silvy and I, we're going to start doing more podcast episodes together, just impromptu, just get on the mic and go. What do you want us to talk about? I got a bunch of responses.
Amazing.
And I wanted to share some of these to foreshadow. Yeah. So you, my dear listener, please keep coming back because we're going to, Silvy and I, if I play my cards right.
If you play your cards right. If you pay me the big bucks for this.
If I pay her well, we'll keep doing these conversations. But here's some good ones. How to hold both passion and safety. That's really good. How to hold both passion and safety. Again, these are from the Instagram story, people responding. Power struggle dynamics, communicating boundaries, and conflict repair. Yep, those are like the 101s, the basics. Good. The various phases of relationships and transitions each partner may go through.
Oh, we just touched on that.
Right. Experiencing loss together.
Yep. Yes.
Let's see.
That's a really big one.
Yeah, a lot of relationship phases, moving in with each other. Transitions again, going deeper, and they even use the word transitioning to marriage life.
Okay, so that theme of transitions is coming up a lot.
How to hold space during wound shares or shares about upset. Yeah, it's really good. When your partner or dating 3 months says your needs are your responsibility and they won't change.
We should do a Q&A series.
Yeah, well, we could even do some actual little Instagram videos of addressing some of these. Anyway, there's a lot more.
Okay.
So we got a lot of juicy stuff, and even this subject, we're going to keep revisiting it because I think it is just such a vital embracing differences for deeper connection. I mean, that's gold because that's life on planet Earth. One of the things I love about this work, Silvy, is also like when men, especially I'm a man, so I tend to speak, from a man's perspective. As men learn how to do relationship well in an intimate relationship, well, I think we become better leaders in every other domain. We become better.
So you're saying I made you better?
Without a doubt. You make me a better man.
Yeah, I've never been this feisty on a podcast, so you have to bear. You have to bear with me. It took Bryan 6 months to get the unmasked version of me.
6 months.
So you guys are getting it after
10 years.
No, you're getting it after 3 podcast guest episodes.
I like this. This is enjoyable to me. This is fun. I'm in. I'm into it. I'm totally into it. So, well, thank you.
Thank you,
my love, for joining me in this episode of Bridging Connections podcast. Thank you to my dear listeners for showing up and keep coming back. And
We appreciate you guys and look forward to we're having some more in-person events coming soon. So stay tuned for that.
That's right. We got more in-person events coming soon. I am coming into my enrollment period for Elevate 2026, which is I've been doing this, will be my 6th year of bringing men through a year-long, just an extraordinary year-long adventure into the 5 pillars of a thriving man and how to elevate our lives. And that's coming up. Feel free to reach out to me about that. What do you want to tell people about?
Oh, well, gosh, this conversation is just bringing up so many like other things of disclaimers that I'm like, oh, I want to address this, but we'll have to do a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you are somebody that is in your dating journey and you want that in-depth support to really clarify what your relationship vision is, what your values are, so that you can be really intentional about your process, you can reach out to me and we can set up a free consultation.
Wonderful. I will put your website. I mean, it's Silvy Khoucasian. Easy to spell.
Easy, so easy. You can just type it in right now.
I'll just type it in right now. All right, babe. I love you. Good job.
Happy almost anniversary, honey.
That's right. Happy almost anniversary. All right. Thanks
Bye,
all for
everybody.
listening. Bye.